Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Every year, MLB teams have an opportunity to poach minor league talent from one another in something called the Rule 5 draft. Oftentimes, these players won't result to much in the big leagues or even make it to the bigs in the first place, but every once in a while, a player rises through the ranks and makes their former team look absolutely foolish for not protecting them. Today, we're going to be talking about those guys. But to examine the craziness of the annual Rule 5 draft, let's first break down exactly how it works. It takes place every year at the winter meetings, more popularly known as the hub for free agent players and organizations to pair up in a frenzy. Like the standard draft, the draft order is categorized by win-loss record with the worst teams getting higher picks. But instead of drafting amateurs, teams are poaching players from other teams' minor league rosters. The only players who can be selected in this draft have to be exempt from their team's 40-man roster, and if selected, they will immediately be placed on their new team's 40-man roster. Because of this, if your 40-man roster is full, you cannot participate in this draft. While many of the picks have gone on to never even reach the major leagues, the Rule 5 draft has produced 35 different all-star players, including two-time Cy Young Award winner Johan Santana. So let's go back from each of the last 10 seasons and pick the best player from each draft class. Let's start with the most recent season, because this pick is pretty obvious. Garrett Whitlock has been part of a dominant combination at the back end of the Red Sox bullpen this year, along with Matt Barnes. However, his story was nearly the very opposite of what it is now, had the Red Sox not snatched him from their rival, the New York Yankees. Whitlock was taken way back in the 18th round by the Bronx Bombers, and he put up somewhat impressive numbers from 2016 to 2017 as a starter in rookie ball. When 2018 rolled around, Whitlock put up a combined 1.86 ERA in 21 starts over 3 minor league levels. In a full season at AA the next season, he posted a 3.07 ERA in 14 starts. But the Yankees failed to protect him, notably putting Brooks Kriske and Michael King on the 40-man roster over Whitlock. So, with the 4th pick in that year's Rule 5 draft, the Red Sox swiped him away. Since then, he's now working as a reliever and he's posting dominating stats, to the tune of a 1.52 ERA in 39 games in 2021 per the recording of this video. He's gaining serious consideration for the AL Rookie of the Year award and will likely inherit the closer role at some point for Boston. Though the Yankees bullpen is already good, it could have been that much better with Whitlock in the roster as well. The 2020 class was admittedly stacked with guys like Whitlock, Akil Baddoo, and Tyler Gilbert among others, but the year prior didn't hold nearly as much undiscovered talent. The best pick from this class is probably YOHAN RAMIREZ, who went from Houston to division rival Seattle with the 5th overall pick. Ramirez has been serviceable and dependable as a reliever for the Mariners, who have one of the best bullpens in the league this season. He originally signed with the Astros as an international free agent in June of 2016 for a $15,000 signing bonus. He posted a respectable 3.75 cumulative ERA over 5 minor league seasons before going unprotected by the Astros. In 29 games over the past 2 years, Ramirez owns a 3.29 ERA and 1.15 whip for Seattle. He's just 26 and has years of control left, so he will likely see even more reps with the Mariners in the near future. Okay, back to the good stuff. The Canadian-born Jordan Romano was originally a 10th round pick by Toronto in 2014 out of Oral Roberts and succeeded early in his minors career as a starting pitcher. He'd post a 4.11 ERA in 26 starts between AA and AAA in 2018, but he'd be converted to a reliever the following season and post his worst results yet. The White Sox would snatch him with the 3rd overall pick in the 2018 Rule 5 draft, but then proceed to trade him to the Texas Rangers for cash considerations. But then the Rangers would return him to the Blue Jays to get an earlier draft slot in return. Romano would get the call for the Jays that same season, and he would post poor results, but by the time 2020 rolled around, Romano was a changed man. He played a much higher role in the Jays' up-and-coming bullpen, and since the start of the 2020 season, he's posted a 1.95 ERA in 65 games and has assumed the role of closer for the Blue Jays. The White Sox bullpen has ended up just fine, but the Rangers must feel foolish for giving up Romano for basically nothing. Now here's a fan favorite. 2017 was definitely one of the more stacked Rule 5 classes featuring the likes of Eliezer Hernandez, Mike Ford, and Yermin Mercedes, but perhaps the most talented and definitely the most entertaining of the bunch was Nestor Cortes Jr. Cortes had the most unlikely path to the bigs of anyone mentioned so far, taken back in the 36th round by the Yankees in 2013. Of the draftees that signed from that 2013 draft, Cortes is the lowest drafted to actually make the big leagues. He posted a 2.06 ERA in 30 games from Single-A to Triple-A in 2017, but the Orioles would nab Cortes with the 9th pick in the 2017 Rule 5 draft. They'd return him to the Yankees for an earlier draft pick, only for the Yankees to flip him to Seattle for cash later that year. By the end of 2020, he was a free agent, and he'd get picked up by none other than the Yankees for a third stint, and I guess third time was the charm. It's taken a few years for Cortes to find his footing in the bigs with a combined 6.72 ERA and 42 appearances over the past 3 seasons, but in his second stint with the Yankees this year, he's flourished as both a starter and reliever, posting a 2.77 ERA and 61.2 innings pitched for New York. They may have not gotten Whitlock right, but at least they got Nestor. If you guys couldn't tell already, I finally touched up the bland background behind me with some of my baseball collectibles. But as baseball history progresses, collectibles are progressing as well. There's a new frontier of digital collectibles, and there's breaking news in that front. Topps has recently announced the upcoming release of the 2021 Topps MLB Inception NFT collection. Nice little rhyme there. And all their NFTs announced in this line are officially licensed by MLB. They'll be available September 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on ToppsNFTs.com. The collection celebrates baseball's promising young stars, from breakout rookies to veteran mainstays, while also introducing the New Beginnings Pack, which is a set that celebrates both new and familiar faces in the baseball landscape. When the sale goes live tomorrow on September 9th, collectors will have the ability to purchase 5-card standard packs or 25-card premium packs, with NFT card rarities ranging from common to legendary. And as always with Topps products, the collection will include iconic card designs, in addition to motion animations, signatures, and digital relic content in bold artistic styles. If you're an NFT collector or you're trying to get into digital collecting in the first place, I highly recommend this sale to you. Once again, this sale goes live at 1 p.m. tomorrow on September 9th, and you can check out the product line at ToppsNFTs.com. Link in the description below. Make sure you get in on the Topps MLB Inception NFT collection before it's too late. Okay, back to the video. In a very light 2016 class, Anthony Santander was the standout pick of his class. Though he's taken a step back this year, Santander has posted a cumulative 480 slugging percentage, 105 OPS plus, and 45 home runs over the past 3 seasons combined in Baltimore. He signed with Cleveland originally as an international free agent out of Venezuela in 2011, and steadily climbed through the ranks of the minors over the next 5 years. But just as he was about to reach AAA ball in 2017, the Orioles would claim him with the last pick in that year's Rule 5 draft, and made him a big leaguer immediately upon arrival. He's been with the club ever since, improving every year. Take it back 1 year further for another AL East powerhouse. Though he was born in South Korea, Ji-Man Choi's road to the big leagues was entirely based in North America. He signed with the Mariners as an international amateur free agent in 2010, highly regarded as a first baseman, catcher, outfielder hybrid. When he finally made spring training with the Mariners in 2015, though, he fractured his fibula on a play and was DFA'd shortly thereafter. The Orioles scooped him up in the offseason following the 2015 season, before getting picked by the Angels with the last pick in that year's Rule 5 draft and making their opening day roster. He'd then bounce around from the Angels to the Yankees to the Brewers before landing in his eventual home with the Tampa Bay Rays. And since joining the Rays, he's posted a 124 OPS plus and 94 extra base hits over the past 4 seasons. 5 different clubs had their hands on Choi, but only the Rays got to truly reap the benefits of keeping him around. Mark Canha is one of the lesser-known players to be included in the chasm of talent traded away by the Marlins over the years. He was actually a 7th-round pick for them in 2010 and would reach AAA by 2014, never posting a batting average under 270 or an OPS under 790 at any level. He had tons of pop but had some work to be done on his plate discipline. The Rockies stole him with the 2nd pick in the 2014 Rule 5 draft, but because they're also a cursed franchise, they decided to immediately trade him to the Oakland A's for someone named Austin House, who would never make the big leagues. Canha would tear up spring training that year for Oakland and make the club in the wake of the absence of Brandon Moss and Josh Donaldson. Of course, he'd make an immediate impact and hasn't left the club since. In his 7 seasons in Oakland, he's posted a cumulative 115 OPS plus, and since 2019, he's slashed a 393 on base percentage and a 483 slugging for the A's. He'll be a free agent this offseason, so maybe the Marlins and Rockies could try again if they really wanted to. OMAR NARVAEZ was originally a homegrown Tampa Bay talent signed as a 16-year-old out of Venezuela. Though his offense was still developing as he rose through the minor league ranks, he showed a lot of promise on both sides of the ball. However, the White Sox would snatch him with a late pick in the Rule 5 draft, and this would go as one of the only times the Rays were snake-bitten by a Rule 5 pick. NARVAEZ would bat .274 with a 106 OPS plus in his 3 years in Chicago, but surprisingly enough, after his best season in the bigs, he was traded at his highest value to the Seattle Mariners in exchange for Alex Colomé. He'd be flipped again after 1 season with the M's, this time to the Brewers, where he's established a home for himself. His 2021 season brought his first All-Star nod, and he's maintained a 116 OPS plus per the recording of this video, making him a top 5 catcher in the National League. And also, he's my lookalike. Or I guess I'm his lookalike? Who's to say? Ryan Pressly is now a two-time All-Star and one of the most renowned relievers in the current game, but for a while, he quietly lurked in the background. He was an 11th round pick in 2007 by the Boston Red Sox, and he posted average minor league numbers as a starter, but struggled mightily by the time he reached AA. But the Twins decided to take a risk and choose him with the 4th pick in the Rule 5 draft in 2012. Pressly is commonly known as an Astro these days, but he spent 6 seasons in Minnesota before going over to Houston. In that time, he posted a respectable 3.75 ERA in 281 games, making him the most valuable pick of his Rule 5 class. Since coming to Houston, he's established himself as a reliable closer with a 2.05 ERA and 40 saves in 157 games. Last up on today's list is another Houston Astro and MARWIN Gonzalez, whose road to becoming a beloved Astro was a long one for sure. The Cubs originally signed him as an international free agent when he was 16, and he'd experienced success and failure in the minors while also constantly shifting positions all the way up until AAA, where the Red Sox poached him with the 10th pick in the 2011 Rule 5 draft. He'd get flipped to the Astros the very same day for a prospect who never reached the bigs. Gonzalez spent 7 years in Houston and won a World Series ring with the Astros while posting a cumulative 102 OPS+ before signing with, you guessed it, the Boston Red Sox. And then of course, because of fate, he'd be released later this year and be picked up by, you guessed it, the Houston Astros. Baseball's fun. That was a lot of picks to go through, but I appreciate you hanging around to the end of the video. If this video was interesting to you and you had never heard about the Rule 5 draft, make sure you leave a comment down below. I'd be more than happy to do a second part on this video highlighting some other picks that I couldn't really fit into this one. And as always, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. But that's all I got for you guys today. I'm the Jolly Olive, and I'll see you guys next time.